Wednesday. Each week we talk about different ways to enhance that connection, not only connection with others, but connections with ourselves. We talk about the holistic journey of mind, body, spirit, and bringing that in balance. Our transformative events of connection allow you to go deeper, to connect, and to feel better. I hope you'll join us in this next episode. We're talking about loneliness and how we can connect with others.
Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. I'm William Skeets and myself, co-host Stephen Busher, having an open discussion today about connections to help combat loneliness or cure loneliness. Because as we all know, that as we've come out of this global pandemic, loneliness has become the next epidemic. And so today we're going to have an open discussion about how we as skilled helpers can assist and help others connect to help combat those moments of loneliness or loneliness in ourselves. So welcome everybody. Stephen.
Well, thank you. The idea is that we can kind of just dive deep on this. And so what I'd like to do is kind of throw out a topic or a discussion point and then go off into breakout rooms and kind of talk about it a little bit. But it's fascinating to me because one of the loneliest moments that I have in my memory and my experience was when I was sitting on the couch with my soon-to-be ex-wife. It was amazing that there could be such a void when there's somebody sitting right next to you. And so I realized it has nothing to do with the fact that you are around people, right? This feeling of loneliness is independent of whether you're in proximity of somebody. It's this level of connection, this level of understanding. And that's what I'd like to kind of dive in and explore in the question. It's what does that mean to you? I mean, have you ever experienced loneliness, and what does that mean? And more importantly, what do you need to feel connected? And so the rest of it back. That's quite powerful that people stay for the entire time in the breakout rooms. It means that a good connection's going on and a good discussion.
Yeah.
Some deep looks on people's faces. It sounds like there was a deep discussion going on. And everyone took all of the time. So it's wonderful that you had a nice connection. So is there anything that comes to mind? I mean, when you had that discussion, was there anybody that would like to volunteer an insight or something that came forward from that discussion?
I have is loneliness being away from other people that you feel lonely, or is it the reason you feel lonely, or are you afraid of being in your own presence? Because I think sometimes we are so used to being in other people's presence. So as soon as when they are not around, you would instantly feel lonely because their presence was so much there, right? When you learn to love your own self, and just be in your, happy in your own presence, that feeling of loneliness, it's not longer there because it's not the presence of other human beings. It's presence of your own self with yourself, And I often ask myself this question, when I have felt down, I wouldn't say lonely, but my husband and I don't live in each other's pocket because that would kill me and that would kill him as well. We love our space, but we come together in the evening where we share our space with each other, and when we are in the house, we are not in each other's pocket. We are doing other things because we love the space that we have around, but we bring the richness in each other by being together. So this is what I'm saying. That, like, I think Will should have really said it beautifully that, I go for a walk so I can be in other people's presence. That's so beautiful because walking in the park, you've got other people's presence because there's other people in the park, but you're all alone. But you're happy being alone because you're content with your own self. I think fundamentally for me, loving myself is most important, because when I learn to love me for who I am, for each faults I have as well, and but recognizing those faults and working with those faults as well, I don't think I need anybody, you know. But you know, it's a pleasure to have a husband who's loving.
Oh, that's lovely. And it's nice that it works out for the two of you, that you have that same dynamic.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get, one or two more people, just a quick input, because Paul and I had a wonderful discussion, and we almost had the same realization that it's a breakdown in communication. It's when someone doesn't understand you, or whether that barrier is language, or whether that barrier is that they choose not to see you. And if that happens, then you can feel lonely, even if the person's there. I mean, you can be surrounded by people, and if they don't get you, if you can't communicate, then there's this separation. So that idea is there, and I think, being empathic myself, I do believe that there's an energetic connection as well, and it's where people just get you, right? It's like they can send you a meme, and it's the best meme ever. They understand your humor, they make you laugh, and it's like it can be something quite silly, but it's like it lifts your spirits, right? So this idea about, does anybody else have anything to add? Something that that wasn't a realization? Go ahead, Paul.
No, I just wanted to say, you say talking about lifting your spirits, as I was talking about feeling lonely sometimes and being in a different country and also coming through difficult times, there's being by yourself. And, I spent a large part of my life being very independent. But that independence is sort of based on certain columns, certain foundations. There's certain things that it has to be in place for that security and not loneliness to be in effect. But those things can be removed. And I think we both mentioned, as you just said, Stephen, that we found it online. And I know yesterday I was feeling down, and then I had a connection online. And again today, and coming to this, it's just like you have to be willing to go there. And because I find sometimes with me is that if I get into a space where I'm really lonely and I feel insecure and disempowered, I don't do the necessary steps to actually go and seek help. But if you go out and you seek to speak to others, you find that your spirit lifts and that those feelings of loneliness go away, and the empowered self starts coming back again.
That's amazing. When you said that, it reminded me of Scherzard, and I won't go into it too much, but there's a different section of the brain. He's doing these brain scans and doing his positive intelligence coaching. But there's a side of your brain that processes things rationally, that comes up with reasons and all of this. And then the side of your brain that he calls the sage, or the spiritual side of your brain, that is separate. And so it fascinated me, because if you're trying to make sense of something, processing it, you're actually separating yourself from the very part of your brain that would make peace with it, that would actually just do the acceptance. And so if your focus is on one side of your brain and you're actually, intently using that, you'll never make sense of what's going on. So it's amazing to me. And you won't make the connection either. The part of connect that you connect, the one that has gratitude and joy, that's a different part of the brain. So anybody else before we jump into the breakout rooms on the next one?
Steve, I wouldn't mind saying a 2-seconder.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
The whole bit about embracing loneliness, and especially with gratitude over the last year, and being by myself, a very big portion about that, literally living in the bush with no one to talk to, is finding gratitude for ungrateful moments. That's, for me, was a big realization. And when you really got no one to talk to, and you're sitting there, to find that one moment, it can be a small little infinitesimal active task, but just finding the motivation to do it and appreciate the essence of God, or the higher power, or the essence of the universe, the essence of Gaia. For me, that's what gratitude, and when you said gratitude, it just like rang so true. Being grateful for ungrateful experiences, finding something to be grateful for. Thank you.
You're welcome there. I always tell people when you're in this gratitude process, if you're in the weeds, right, it's hard to see something to be grateful for, but you can be grateful that today is less crappy than yesterday was. That's okay. It's a movement in the right direction. So the next question that we have, it's this idea of connection, holding space, of communicating with somebody, and it's take that into the room and share with your partner what you need, or what helps you when you're connecting with somebody in a conversation. So we'd like to just kind of bring this back. I wanted to share when Soham and I were talking, we were talking about the communication and the connection, and it came up, we were talking about when you're at work and somebody's difficult. And I just wanted to share something that came up to me. It's like the idea is that if you feel a negative energy coming from somebody else, that we don't have to make sense of that. We don't have to process that. What we can do is we can allow that energy to come towards us and just reflect it back without judgment, because we're most likely we're wrong in our assessment of what it is anyways, right? So the idea is that we don't have to make sense of it. We don't have to process it even. Just reflect it back and add your love and light. And if it is for manipulative purposes, because there are a few people out there that will try to hijack your emotions based off of certain triggers, it will put you in the space of independence, right? You'll have absolute calm because your emotions will not be tied to their actions. And the more calm you are, I've seen it before where people will escalate their behavior, and it'll get to the point where it's so exaggerated that that the person, it almost seems like they're ready for a breakdown, and they're upset because you're calm. And it's really about hearing them. It's like when you really hear them and that is going on, you'll be able to make the distinction between what is real and what is not. And it's an amazing place to be. So Shazard again was talking about these PQ reps, and I'll just share one of the things that happened that was a positive. I was in an interaction with someone, and they said something that was a trigger, and I really wanted to hear them. I realized that I was being triggered. So what I did is I focused on the breath. So I noticed as I was listening to them, what they were saying, I focused on the air coming in through my nostrils, the temperature of it, how it felt as I was hearing them. And then as I breathed out through my nose, I noticed the difference in temperature, but I also focused intently on their voice, on what they were saying, and trying not to make any judgments on what I was hearing. And what was strange about that, the more at peace I was, the more monitored my breathing was, their breathing started matching mine, and they actually became calmer in the space. And after everything worked out, it turned out that they were upset about something not even related to the project or the work, not even me, nothing to do with what was going on. There was something outside, and we were able to talk about that. And it was a nice shift of energy. But I thought, if I would have responded to what I thought was going on, I would have I could have burned a bridge. I could have made an assumption that wasn't even true. And when you do that, it can have consequences. So the idea is if you can focus, like if that happens, just try to focus on yourself and focus on the other person and see if there might be something more to it. So does anybody have any insights or anything that you'd like to share?
Solara.
Thanks, Will. So I know we've all been there where we've been in a challenging situation, whether it's direct or indirect. My superpower is thinking before I speak, almost to a fault, because I'll just get very quiet, very quiet. And it could be in a family situation, or even when I was working in a hospital setting as a nurse. Just imagine, sometimes the anger and all the emotions that can be experienced in a healthcare setting. I just had a way of going into myself, and it's kind of like what you were saying, Stephen. Just listening to what they're saying. Like, let me get past the emotion. What is it that they're actually saying? What is the concern? And a lot of times in the workforce setting, people have a need regarding what is at hand as far as the work or the collaborative effort. But I've noticed when you're dealing with families or something more interpersonal, it's something that's going on within the other individual that they want to get out of themselves, and so they don't know how to address that, so they'll project that, outwardly, and sometimes, we are the receivers of that. And so it is helpful to take that information of whatever they're sharing in, and to stay in control of our own emotions. And that's work. We can't deny that takes a lot of work. And so I have learned just to be quiet and to figure out what's the best way to address the information that I've been given. And I found when I do that, I come up with all these words. It's so funny, but I get very wordy and very elaborate when I take that time to pause. And it sounds kind of funny, but I've seen myself do that, where if I get upset, so to speak, or if I get triggered, and if I, and I'll say that if I get upset based on what I'm hearing, when I pause and I speak, I use a lot of words that will explain how I am feeling. So instead of me saying, oh, I'm angry, or reacting loudly or very quickly, I will say, oh, that's very unfortunate that you would feel the need to express yourself in that manner. I would kind of talk it out like that, which helps me to calm down and then express with words instead of emotions, because people can't understand emotions. They understand like words and that sort of expression. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much for that. And I do believe that is a superpower. Being able to pause and have that filter is of immense power. So we've got, I believe, time for one more question. And again, I'll just throw in this concept from Shazard. So it's this idea of not only having your saboteurs, but having your sage. It's labeling those critical voices. When the emotions are coming in, it's realizing that the emotions are usually coming from some judgment or something going on that's laying, this is right or wrong. You're deeming somebody else's actions to either be good or bad. And if we can engage that as a like a trip to the gym, right? It's like, the weights are heavy. And so when those come in, that something triggers us, how can we reach that with gratitude? So that's going to be the question for the room, is how can we embrace with gratitude those triggers and learn to become stronger from it? So we're going to do our group photo. So we'll take a group photo and we'll post it on the Global Summit events page. And so with your best GMP smile,
Big smile.
everybody say cheese. All right, very nice.
What teeth showing?
I just said cheese. That's what the Americans say. We're corny. What did Brit say?
Yeah, say cheese as well.
Cheese.
Well, it
And the Scots say whiskey.
as they drink it. So thank you all. I'd like to have you share just your takeaway. What was your experience like today? And what I found is it was just a nice sense of connection. I really enjoy all of you, and it's this opportunity to get mutual understanding. So I'll start with the happiness coach. We'll go from bottom to top. What was your takeaway today?
It's been a while since we are gathered, so that's a big one for me. What I gathered is we are never alone.
That's lovely. Thank you for that. And Paul, what is your takeaway from today?
I think there's going to be a few takeaways, Steve, but the one that Solara and I were talking about, because you keep bringing up Shazad and positive intelligence, and I was using that framework when we were chatting, and I realized, one of my saboteurs is controller, and I think it's another highlight where a saboteur can step in and create feelings in us. So it's like I'm used to controlling everything, and now I don't have. It's like that power has been taken away from me in a lot of respects, and I have to redefine a lot of who I am and what I am. And I think so. Yeah, I realized that one of my saboteurs were involved with a lot of my feeling lonely, and then I think you mentioned the gratitude, and I think Will mentioned the gratitude. So yeah, I'm grateful for those realizations. So I can turn up more grateful for what is, and not only be concerned with what might not be or what isn't.
Thank you so much for that. Denise, what's your takeaway from today?
Okay, so I think my takeaway is recognizing the feeling of loneliness, and then maybe asking why. Why am I feeling lonely? Is it perhaps because I'm not in the right place? Or is it perhaps I'm bored? Or is it perhaps, sort of I'm like an inspiration in some way? Yeah, so I think loneliness is part of a self-awareness journey, and it's also part of once you understand loneliness and how it feels, of course, it helps you to empathize with others as well.
I really like that. And as someone that gets stuck on this rational journey sometimes, that's the self-awareness journey that I came from. That's what allowed me to make this break. Sometimes a question that is less cognitive is, instead of why do I feel this way, is what am I feeling? And what it does is it moves you away from trying to come up with a reason, because if there's not any sense that can be made by that thought, there is no answer to the question why. But when you ask yourself, what are you feeling? You can just notice the feeling. And as you focus on the feeling, the thoughts that may be reinforcing it will slowly dissipate, and that chemistry will dissipate in your body. So it's just an idea. But it's a beautiful self-awareness journey when you actually notice what it is that you're experiencing and actually connect to it. When you start doing that, you realize the thoughts they're the precursor thoughts, because we have something that will happen, and then we will have a feeling that starts coming into our body, and then we'll have thoughts that come in with that feeling, and then they reinforce it. So it's a fascinating loop that happens. So thank you for being here. Miriam, what was your experience like? What's your takeaway?
It more reinstated my core values of being authentic and honest. That's what I take away, especially in any kind of communication or conversation. That's what I look for. And like you said, right, like reflecting your core value, whatever comes to you, and you don't allow that trigger to just drain yourself. You just reflect it back and multiply it with whatever core value you believe in. I just love the idea there. And I'm going to do that, because yeah, it's going to take me some time, but I'll do that. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you for that. And Maitreya, always such a beautiful soul. What was your takeaway today?
There are 2-3 points I'd like to share. Number one is, what is your desire while communicating with somebody? Are you holding space for someone, or you are looking for someone? So if it is not getting fulfilled, then probably the communication will be one way. So first thing is stay grounded, which I'm trying to practice always. And there is a huge difference between loneliness and alone, as Will was saying. And I'm dying to get that alone time, as Swam was saying. Otherwise, I will be nowhere. So staying connected, it's really an important point for me, and I will try to continue this. Thank you.
That's lovely. So thank you for that share. So Lara, what was your takeaway from today?
I have three. So we're all divinely connected. And to that end, there's a need for us to experience authentic connections on a regular basis. I think, including today, over the past couple of days, I've had different groups of like minded people, and I've really enjoyed them. And it just was occurring to me that I need that that's a part of who I am. And it's more of a giving back, to come into a space where you don't feel drained, where your daily activities or your daily work can sometimes take the energy away. Sitting in spaces like this wonderful group is just like a giving. And so it's a nice space to realize that, we need this authentic connection for holistic wellness, not something that we can, I would say, stay away from for too long, So I think it's important. So find your tribe. That's what came to me. You have to find the people that get you and flourish. Use that and for a way for you to go into yourself and energize yourself and flourish.
I love that. And it's interesting because I do believe that the energy that we carry within ourselves is the energy that we attract to one another. And so as this group provides energy, it'll also expand your reach of reaching more of those people that are like-minded. We're already drawing in more people to the Global Summit group, and they're amazed at how welcoming we are and how much of a family we are. And we're used to it. We've been doing this for a while. They are not, and it's like it's so refreshing. It's one of the people said that they were speechless, right? They have been seeking this for so long that there's this need for people to have authentic connection. So what we are creating here will expand, and it'll be within our groups, and as we grow, everything will grow. So I appreciate that. And Will, what is your takeaway? What was your experience?
That, like I said at the beginning, there's a great difference between being alone and loneliness. But when you become comfortable with yourself and comfortable in who you are and how you are, that sense of being alone can be a very uplifting, fulfilling moment. And then also recognizing what triggers you when you actually have those moments where you actually feel lonely. What are the things that have caused you to end up in that situation, and how are you going to combat them? And I think that having connection with yourself also helps you remind you that there is someone there for you at all times.
I love that. And I'll share, my last little takeaway. We've got this amazing group, and we do
Michael,
different events. Did we get Michael? Oh,
no.
Michael. All right. Go ahead.
In a very brief nutshell, I just feel that the group are just lovely people, and everyone they practitioners. They're willing and open to many different ideas. Everyone here, and as Stephen so politely embedded into my subconscious, I appreciate you all. Thank you.
I'm not sure where that came from, but I love that phrase and I use it often. I do appreciate you. I really do. And I think it comes from my own life journey. As so many years I felt unappreciated, that when I felt appreciated, it was amazing to me. I mean, it was like sending lifeblood to someone that needed it. And so for me to appreciate somebody else is honoring that journey of I never want someone else to feel unappreciated. And when I do appreciate them, I tell them. So I think it's important. And that kind of goes into what I was going to suggest when we are a community. And one of the most important things that someone did for me is it was John Frost. I don't know if he sends you guys links when something's going on, but he would send me, meeting invites and say, hey, this is going on. So that's what I'd like to challenge you all to do, is to connect with one another. If you're doing something that you enjoy and you can think of somebody within the group that may enjoy it as well, just send them a link and say, hey, this meeting's going on if you'd like to come. Let's connect with one another. Let's do something of, inspiring each other, but let people know that you're thinking about them, whatever it is. If it's sending them a meme, or if it's just saying, hey, I was thinking about you, just connect with one another. So thank you all for being here.